Today's topic, it's about product differentiation. And this is a super exciting subject because it's fun. It's one of those, it's a creative process. It's looking at products and saying, okay, how can I make it different, make it better, put a little bit of me into it. However, the one thing that I want you to make sure that you're aware of is that when we are trying to create a difference in a product, or when we're trying to create a better product, if you like, it can become very expensive. So when we are going through these examples in a moment and these methods, I want you to think that the goal is that we don't want to overcapitalize. We need to make sure that your product is commercially viable, which means is your client or customer willing to pay the price for the product that you are offering, and you're still able to achieve a healthy profit margin. Because at the end of the day, this is a business and we do want to make money from this as well. So we do want a healthy profit margin. So I want you to keep that at the back of your mind. And the methods that I am about to show you are ways that you can do it with very minimal cost. Okay, so this is where we put our entrepreneurship hat on and be like, okay, how can we get creative? How can we make this special? So why is making your product so important? So firstly, Amazon is growing and it's super exciting. Globally, it is just exploding all over the world. The graph that I have up here is actually pretty cool. It's from March of this year, so it's super relevant to right now. And as you can see, it shows you where the growth is happening all around the world. And from this graph, it's saying that every 2 minutes there is a new seller. So every 2 minutes there is a new seller, a new product, more competition on Amazon. All these new competitors coming on, what is going to make a customer click on your product, okay? What's going to make yours stand out? So it is becoming very highly competitive. That's why your product needs to be better. And obviously, Amazon is a visual platform, meaning that people are scrolling through. They're not stopping to read your title. They're not stopping to read your dot points. They are looking at the photos. And if your photo stands out, that's what's going to get the click, and that's ultimately what's going to get the purchase. So those are the reasons why we need to make our products different. All right, but you're asking, how do I make my product stand out? Okay, so this is a bit of a mouthful. By increasing the perceived value as well as the actual value of the product through functional and visual differentiation. So I'm going to break that sentence down a bit. What is perceived value? Perceived value is subjective. It is the worth that someone gives an object, and that's based on their personality, their past life experiences. So it's basically asking, hey, how much do you think this drink bottle is worth? Okay, the actual value is actually, it comes into, the quality of the product, the features of the product, and the benefits. So we can increase the value, both what the perceived value is and the actual value. And we are going to do this through functional and visual differentiation. Okay. So these are the 5 methods that I'm going to go through. So I thought I'll give you a quick snapshot, and then what I'm going to do is go over to Amazon and actually run through live examples on Amazon and how I would look at them if I am doing some product research. So we've got visual differentiation, hero shot, functional, packaging, and bundling. Okay, so keeping that in mind, and when we get to the page, I'm going to talk through those a little bit more. Alrighty, so first of all, we're going to touch on visual differentiation. Okay, so now I'm looking at Scotch decanters. So as you can see, all these products, they're beautiful, they're very classic photos, it's all very elegant, okay? So but also when you look on here, everything is much, they all do look similar. People are working to make things differently, for example, here. So the example that I've pulled through here, okay, so a lot of these are, bottles, okay, and there are bottles with different designs. But this example here, and they've really gone over to make it different, is a decanter that looks like a gun, okay, or a rifle. So you can see that when you're scrolling, you'd be like, that is completely different. They've obviously have a target audience, someone who likes guns, very masculine, very James Bond. So this would definitely stand out from the crowd. And looking at their numbers, they're making a real nice, healthy revenue of over 25 grand, and this is in the US market. So that's a brilliant example of visual differentiation, and it's obviously shown straight away in the hero shot. My next example is, and this is in the Australian marketplace for all the Aussies that are online today. So my keyword that I've used is suitcases. So I've got suitcases here. Okay, as you can scroll down, you know, you've got the black, you know, they're all quite kind of the same. They slightly vary in color, but as you can see, this unicorn ride-on suitcase stands out completely. Okay, so what I've gone in and opened it. All right, so this unicorn, so obviously niche or specific target, it is targeting children. Okay, it does have also additional function in terms of the kids can ride it, but by making it different, a different design for a different clientele or customer base, it really sticks out in that crowd, and that's making over $26,000 monthly, and really only has a small amount of reviews as well in the Australian marketplace. So that's obviously great to see how they are being a successful market as well. All right, next. So those two examples were a brilliant example of visual differentiation, how people have actually changed the design of a product. So those two examples were focusing on design changes. Here, what I'm actually going to talk to you about is the hero shot differentiation. And I've actually found a few products that have very little gas factor. So for those of you who don't know what gas factor means, is it gives a shit, basically. So these are latex gloves. If you're going to sell latex gloves, how do you make this more appealing? People don't really care. Maybe, you know, there's a size different. There are a few colors, but it doesn't really matter. So what this is going into is how can you make your hero shot stand out when the product itself, in terms of the design, can't really be changed? So now looking at these latex gloves. Okay, you've got boxers, yep, gloves. You know, obviously these guys are really popular. They've got over almost 10,000 reviews. You probably just click on their $12, here we go. But what some people have done, if you keep on scrolling, is they start to make, you know, a hand in the glove and make some kind of a symbol. So there's one. And as you keep going down, there are a few that are working more and more at that. What I found quite funny, if you keep on scrolling down, is this one here. So, you know, we've all seen, I'm sure, I know I did as a kid, blown up a glove, tied it up and played around with it and then popped it. Okay, so they completely stand out. And what's interesting about this is they're, you know, $34.99. So firstly, even the one next to it, they are significantly higher. In terms of the ones up here, they're almost double the price. But when I've actually clicked on it, they do actually have quite a healthy margin, considering they only have, they've got 60 ratings but only 90 reviews. And they're quite low on the page and are charging significantly more, but it is just a box of gloves. And I think that is because of their hero shot. So they're just making just under 19 grand. So awesome example of making your hero shot stand out if you can't exactly change the design of your product. Right, next one. So I personally love the pet niche. I think maybe I'm an animal lover. I love, you know, spending money on my dog, and I'm not the only one. So the pet category is awesome to do product research in. So as you can see here, we're in dog collars, harnesses, and leashes. Going through, there are a few that, you know, just show the leash. Some of them have dogs in it. I'd probably, you know, when I see the dog, I'm more likely to look at the picture with the dog because I like, you know, dogs are cute. Okay, the one that I specifically thought that stood out the most was actually this one on the right-hand side. So what they've actually done is they've got the dog in it. It's a cute dog. It looks happy. You've got the harness as well as the leash, and I think they've really utilized the space that you have in your hero shot. You know, they're compliant. They've got the white background, but they're really emphasizing the product and the functional use at the same time. And I think that if you do scroll, for example, this one still has a beautiful, cute dog in it, but I'm more looking at that one. And when you actually go into it, you know, the numbers speak for themselves. They are making a whopping, you know, 170 grand a month. And I think their advertising and their marketing via their hero shot and making it different compared to the others, it's making them really stand out. Because really, when you do look at the niche, you know, they are pretty much all the same. You know, the harnesses, this lead is actually, they look the same. They're different brands. So I think they've done a really good job. And actually, now looking at it, I might add, it's more, they've also bundled as well, because a lot of these products or listings, you know, is just the lead or just the harness. So they've also made it different by bundling two products that are usually probably bought together. Okay, if you're looking for a lead, you also want a harness as well. So they've done two things, which is making their hero shot really stand out. All right, next one is functional differentiation. So what I mean by functional, it's creating something that, okay, so if we're looking at the wheelbarrow, obviously we know that a wheelbarrow usually, you know, looks like this. The old school ones have the one wheel at the front. You tip it over to, you know, get rid of whatever's in it. It's quite manual. It's heavy work. And this has been the stock standard design of a wheelbarrow. A functional differentiation means that you have changed the design to change or edit the function of that. So when I'm talking about wheelbarrow, I'm talking about this product here. And what I want you to look at is, obviously, you know, they have changed the design in terms of it does have 4 wheels. Okay, you're still pulling it. But the biggest difference of it is actually how you deposit of, you know, the dirt or the gravel, whatever you may be holding in the wheelbarrow. So if I go through their listing, sorry, I'll just get rid of the extension. Okay, so you can actually see, so it's carrying something and how it actually tips over. So you can see that they've made it much easier. You can also connect it to something to pull it along. But I think the main feature of this and what makes it different is that you're not physically pushing something over. It has a hinge system that is able to, you know, dump whatever's in there out. So that's a brilliant way of a functional differentiation. They've, you know, thought, how can we improve the function of this product and how can we solve a problem for our customer? You know, wheelbarrows is it's heavy manual labor. How can we make this job easier for everyone? And therefore, you know, their clientele base, I think, would have expanded as well, because, you know, maybe someone who isn't as strong would be able to use this product as well. So that's what functional differentiation is how do you solve the problem for a client even more so? I mean, that's what we should be thinking about when we are doing research. Ultimately, we are solving a problem for our clients or customers. All right, this one is another one. So again, pet niche, all about it, is a pet carry bag. So when you think about a pet carry bag, it's usually like a little suitcase. Hold on, sorry. It's usually a little suitcase like so, a little bit netted. But what this brand has done here is they've made it into more of, I guess they've made it a fashion accessory, that it's more comfortable. You don't need to use your hands. You pop it over your shoulder and you can go for a nice walk. You can go to the shops and you've still got your little pooch in there. So excellent, different design, a different function for that as well. And they've really, in terms of their numbers, just under 200 grams. So a lot of their customers are agreeing that, yeah, that's much better than just holding something on the side. So all of these examples, it's fun. You think, how can I make this better? How can I make it cooler, prettier, fancier, maybe address a different customer base that maybe wouldn't originally, you know, go for that product because of some kind of problem. Right. Our fourth one. So the fourth one on the list was packaging. Now, packaging is super important. And when I'm referring to packaging, I'm not referring to, you know, say I buy a beautiful, no, I can't think of an example. I buy lost an example, but I'll get there. For example, here they've got a little wooden, this is not the packaging of it, it's part of the product and it's part of the holder or the stand. That is part of the product. When I talk about packaging, it's what the product actually comes with. So essentially the box that you get it in from Amazon and you open up and there's another box inside. It's like a babushka doll, but there's another box inside. But that is part of the customer experience. And I don't know about you, but For example, I bought a bikini. Okay, I bought a bikini. I expect it in a plastic bag. I got it in the packaging first, in the Amazon packaging, but then it actually came in a beautiful white magnetic box. I opened it. It was wrapped in tissue, and then my bikini was in there. So it took me through a whole experience of opening up. My perceived value of the product really increased, and therefore I was happy. They cost me like $100, but I would have paid $100 for the box. So that is what packaging can do. So in such a niche as this, so a bartending kit, there are a lot. And if you just, when you're looking at it, they all basically look the same. They all look the same. Some of them are changing colors, but now there are a few that have added their packaging. So there's the box here. There was one higher up here as well. So as you can see, all of these instruments are basically all the same, but by adding a box, so the packaging, they've added value. So the perceived value has increased. Their hero shot is now a point of differentiation. And that's a point that the clients are going to look, or customers are going to look at. It's like, hey, they are offering me more value than someone who's just offering me the stand, for example. So that is an example of adding a packaging, and make sure the customer is aware that the packaging is there. It's adding to the perceived value of the product as well. And I'm sure you can think of your own examples, like my bikini example, of when you've received a package or something online, and the packaging of it, nothing to do with the product itself, but the packaging that it comes with has really increased its value. Cool. All right, and now one more. So the fifth one is bundling. So bundling is awesome, and the point that I want to make about bundling is also that you can add value, but then you can also take away value for it to be more valuable. So a less is more kind of situation. What I wanted to actually show you is more of an example of, okay, so in the baby niche similar to the pet niche, it's super lucrative in terms of, families, mums, dads want to spend a lot on their child, and they're willing to as well. So for example, there is this little robe, this elephant robe, and this robe itself is doing really well. So say that you wanted to sell such a product, and you've done your research and you've decided, yes, this is something that customers want, but you're not quite sure how to make yours different from such a popular product that's already selling on Amazon. When you go into a listing, below it says frequently bought together. So you can see that this robe with, it looks like some blankets and some mittens, and I think they're little like hairbands, that they are frequently bought together. So that gives you an idea of like, hang on a second, people are buying these together. What if I bundled all of these products together and offered them as one? So that is an idea when you're not quite sure what to add of how to go about bundling. Sometimes when you do see bundling, which is I'm a bit shocked about, is that they bundle, but the products that they bundled with their main product actually have no relevance. You need to make sure that the products that you're bundling with all complement each other. So you can see here, obviously, these are all baby related. This is all about keeping the baby warm. It's clothing. It's things that the baby needs, and the parents might want to buy together. So bundling can be done super well, but make sure that they complement each other. Don't get random things and just pop them into one. Alrighty. Okay, so those were the examples of either products. So we cover the visual differentiation, the hero shots, the functional, the packaging, and the bundling. And you can see how 5 very simple ways that don't have to cost you a lot of money. Obviously, you can spend a lot of money on these, but for example, visually, just the color hero shot, make it a little bit different. So they can be very low cost, but your profit margin can grow as well. Before I go on, I'm just going to go back and check on how's everyone going. So there will be a few questions in there. Just want to make sure that you all guys are still hearing me, and then after we'll go through that. All right, I'm going to go back to this. So I'm sure you're thinking, okay, that's all well and good. It's great to be creative, to look at these competitors, to see what they're doing differently. But then you're thinking, how do I make it different? What if I don't know where to look to make it different? Well, if you need ideas, ideas are absolutely everywhere. So firstly, Pinterest. Pinterest is an awesome tool. If you haven't used it before, go in there. Write in anything, and it comes up with all these beautiful images. So say I can write in knife set, for example, and it will show me different photos of different designs of knife sets. And that's where you can get ideas of like, oh, hang on a second, this design is awesome. Is this being sold on Amazon? Because also you need to think, when you are selling on Amazon and you're making your product different, you are comparing your products to the products that are already being sold on Amazon. So you need to think, is my product new to Amazon? If it's being sold elsewhere, that's almost okay, because we're selling specifically on Amazon. Your product needs to be different on Amazon. Another tool you can use is Google Images. Those are the two that I probably go to most. I'm sure, scrolling on Facebook, Instagram, using hashtags, there are heaps of other, online avenues that you can explore to look at, ideas of different products. They're just different search engines. You can just write into Google, dog bags, and see what Google Images spits out at you and see like, okay, are these designs, are these type things being sold on Amazon? How can I make them different? How can I make them better? How can I solve a customer's pain point? And the third one, which now I think about should be your number one, is ask your ideal customer. As I said, we are all about solving the problems of our customer. Okay, so on ZonGuru, we obviously have our love-hate tool. Use that, pop the ASIN in and see what feedback the customers are giving. And then especially from the negative, okay, this size is too small, or this, keeps on breaking here. What improvements can you make literally from the horse's mouth? Your ideal customer is giving you the feedback of what they would like to see. And from that feedback, you go in and improve a product, and that is your point of difference. Keeping that in mind, it's a fun process. It can get a little bit frustrating, but most of the time it is a really, really fun process. All right. Thank you, guys. I'm going to go back into here. Okay, so thank you. I hope that got you thinking about how you can make your product different without having to spend a lot of money. Okay, it is a fun process. It's a creative process. A lot of the Amazon journey can be, looking at numbers, looking at data, talking about suppliers. But this is one of the, the fun creative processes, and it is one of my favorite processes on this journey to sell on Amazon. And you just know that you don't need to spend a lot of money on it. But if you do want to, you just need to make sure that you know your numbers in terms of make sure that you can still earn a healthy profit margin. And when we are talking about a healthy profit margin, we're referring to about 30 to 40%. Is considered healthy. Okay, obviously, the more the merrier, but that's what we're at least aiming for in the beginning. Alrighty, so now I'll open to any questions. I'm just going to have a scroll through to see what you guys have said in the meantime anyway, but as I said, any questions, it doesn't have to be about the presentation today either. It can be anything, and I'll try my best to answer them as well. Hi, Susan. Thank you. That's super lovely of you to say. People from New Zealand. I have a question. Do I buy this product, one of them from supplier to list Amazon and ZonGuru listing? What does a hero shot mean? So a hero shot is the initial photo that when you go onto Amazon is the first photo that you see of a product. There are certain standards that you need to meet. So, for example, it needs to have a white background and just usually the product. So the hero shot is the first photo that represents your product on Amazon's page when people are listing it. So, Stefan, thank you, Veronica. Related to finding products, I'm not tech savvy. So if this exists, I'm not working out how to use it. Is there a ZonGuru Chrome extension for mobile phones relating to finding products? No, I don't believe we have our ZonGuru Chrome extension for the mobile phones, but I'm not quite sure what you mean by. So the Chrome extension, if you have a laptop or computer, you download the Chrome extension. It's super easy to use. You just go on Amazon, click the Chrome extension, and all the data comes up. So if you want to elaborate on that. But in terms of no tech savviness is required to use the Chrome extension. On ZonGuru, we do have, the tutorials that do explain to you, what the data metrics mean. So if you're not sure of how to, understand the numbers that the Chrome extension shows, there are definitely tutorials on ZonGuru that you can have a look. If not, our support team are more than happy to help you. Check Etsy for inspiration as well. Awesome. Yep. Thank you, Tony. Etsy is another suggestion. So yeah, there's heaps of online places, that you can get inspiration from. Those are just some of the ones I use. So yeah, for sure. In terms of bundling, do they have to be the same in the same category? Veronica, so when you're gonna bundle, you're going to, that is one listing. So that one listing will be placed in one category, okay? However, you need to make sure that when you're bundling in terms of what your clients want and if it's relevant to the products, that they complement each other. So I'm assuming if they are going to complement each other, they would by default be in the same category anyway. But when you're listing, you'll only be under one listing and that listing will be under one category.
It's Kimberly. I'm just jumping in to help out because Veronica's having some tech issues. But yeah, we're here to help. And like I said, Veronica's probably going to be back on in a minute, but any questions that you do have, feel free to fire them through. I'm not sure who did ask the question, but I did see one in there about creating variations to an existing listing. You can definitely do that. It can get a little bit tricky, but it's definitely possible. And Veronica's back on the line.
Hello.
So, hi, we've got audio but no visual. There we go.
Oh, sorry, guys. I noticed literally as I was wrapping up and I had someone say, excuse me, you're not on here. So I'm super, super sorry about that.
Don't worry, it happens all the time. Technology. It's our best friend and our worst enemy at the same time.
Yeah, sorry. So I believe it may have cut up when I was talking about bundling. Is that right?
Yeah, around about there. I did see a lot of questions coming through, but I had to jump out. So if you have already posted a question that hasn't been answered, put it back in the chat because when we reconnect, it clears all our history so we can't see them. Yeah,
sorry about that, guys. So yeah, answer if I didn't get to your questions. I did ramble on for a little bit more before I realized I was disconnected. So beauty of technology. I swear my phone says it's still connected, but computer says otherwise.
Yeah, it's all good. Story of my life.
Oh, God.
It's gone very quiet.
No, sorry.
Yeah, that was a great training though, Veronica. I really enjoyed that one. It just proves, thinking a little bit creatively about how you put your product together or just visually display it, even images, it can really change the game.
Yeah, and just, why people are getting in their questions. At the moment, we're going through a rebranding of one of our products and it's just interesting it's a fun process in terms of, you have, when you go to launch a project, you know exactly what you want. You're trying to be as perfect, if you like, or as strict with your standards. And then you launch, and then a few weeks down, you're like, oh, I could have done this better. Oh, I've got this idea, or someone's done this. I can improve on this. So the journey is forever, and it's not just in the product research stage. Is as you launch, you are constantly thinking, okay, how can I make my product better? How can I improve my listing too, again, because your listing is part of that. Yes, we are more talking about getting that click. Obviously, we need the click first for people actually to read the dot points we have and the information that we have. But it is a continuous process. It's not just, once off and then off we go. It's forever.
Yeah, definitely. Tony, we can send those slides straight to you after this if you'd like. Veronica, if you wanted to send them to me, I'll make sure they land in Tony's inbox.
Sure thing, I will do that. All right, Tim has, what are your thoughts on engaging suppliers about differentiation they have available? Are there too many sellers to compete without coming up with something ourselves? Are there too many? So I guess I'll talk about, so what are your thoughts on engaging suppliers about differentiation they have available? So supplier chat it's hard. Like my personal experience, if you find an excellent supplier first off who is willing to, first of all, has efficient communication and is willing to work with you to find a design or create something different with the product that they already have, then you're super, super lucky. It does take a lot of patience, a lot of conversation with several suppliers, and finding who is willing to work with you and make changes. Because I know that Kim can comment on this as well, but I know that when we've had a specific change that we wanted to make, and we had plenty of samples sent out to us, and no one wanted to make these changes. Like, we actually had to really dig and really have big conversations with people, be like, look, we would like to do this. How can we do it? Are you willing to do it? What's your, minimal order requirement for this to happen? So it's not that you don't ask your supplier, what changes can you make for me? You need to go to you can ask them, but you need to really go to a supplier. Look, I'm thinking of changing this. Are we able to do this? And going through that, what would you say, Kim?
Yeah. From personal experience, I find that most manufacturers are very much rigid in their thinking. They're not going to present any differentiation ideas to you. They are there to simply pump out these products. Right. So if you have a differentiation goal, probably not going to get it from them. You're going to be getting it from, Pinterest, Etsy, Instagram. Find those ideas, and then if you're struggling to convey that message, I'd recommend getting a sourcing agent, someone who is native in the language of the country that you're dealing with. They can really communicate that idea and vision across. I'm doing that with the new product at the moment, and when I tried to do it myself, and I've launched numerous products, this one I really struggled to get my ideas across. It didn't matter if I gave them a picture and did a video, it didn't matter. But having a sourcing agent on the ground in the local country has just seamlessly, effortlessly conveyed my ideas across. So definitely recommend that, but they're not going to be your go-to for the actual idea itself.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And Tim, the second part of your question was, are there too many sellers to compete without coming up with something ourselves? I'm not quite sure what you mean by that.
I read that as, is it too competitive? Is there any room left to really put something out there that's different? And I would say 100% yes, because a lot of people don't get creative. They're just putting out the same thing, or maybe they're changing a color. It's really not that creative. There's so much room, and now it's blown wide open because Australia, Europe, they're growing so fast, and in those markets, there's almost zero competition in some of these niches, so you don't have to get super creative. It's not like the US. So I'm excited just talking about that because it is a huge opportunity there.
Yeah, and that's all the emerging marketplaces. ZonGuru tools are all across the globe now. So really, if you find something in the US and you're like, oh, that's amazing, but how do I penetrate this marketplace? Go somewhere else. If it's selling in America, why wouldn't it sell somewhere else? And then those numbers theoretically should, pump up as the popularity with Amazon in those emerging marketplaces happens as well.
Yeah. Beck, I think I just saw your question about tips for making the hero shot stand out. And that is so important because that's the first thing people see. I'd keep in mind whenever you're creating your hero shot that I think the stats are almost 50% of people are looking at it on a mobile phone. Mm-hmm. So whatever image you're looking at, just test it out. Does it really pop in that small format as well as, on a big desktop? What is everybody else doing? Can you do it differently? And I know for me, the second that there is an animal or a child in the picture, I'm clicking on that listing. Bright, happy face, big eyes. I'm clicking. So I'm not sure what categories people are looking in, but if you can somehow make it slightly different with a face, it does make a difference. And Bex, your second question, a sourcing agent for a novice, it can be super helpful. It's like any relationship though, you need to find one that works well for you. So there's a few different ways you can do it. There's people who, you know, it's an A to Z service. They will go through every stage with you. And then there's others where, you know, you just want to make sure that the manufacturer you're dealing with is who they say they are, that they, you know, they have a bricks and mortar setting. They're actually manufacturing it. They're not the middleman between you and someone else. They can be super helpful and fairly cost effective depending on, you know, how much you're wanting them to help with. But yeah, it's definitely not necessary, but if you've got doubts, especially around communicating an idea, I've found it personally priceless.
Yeah. We have, any suppliers do brand, product, and logo. So do you mean that when approaching a supplier, a lot of them do, depending on your minimal order, they can, you know, print your logo and make it a private label, if that's what you mean. But that's very, what's the word I'm looking for? That's very specific or unique to each supplier and the services that they offer. So that's a conversation that you have with the suppliers that, you know, do you offer this product in this way? Are you able to print my logo on it, etc.?
Yeah, you're totally right there. The first thing they'll do is they say our minimum order quantity is now this, and they'll usually bump it up. Yeah. But you're getting a personal branded product, you're creating a brand that adds value to your business. So it's all that, you know, building a brand, are you confident in it? Is it going to work? There's no harm. You know, maybe do a test run. If it works, then go to that personal branding. Awesome. Yeah, Tim, good question. So, you know, the only true way to have 100% confidence if something is already painted is to get a lawyer involved. You can do a little bit of research yourself. There's Google Patents. So, you know, I usually start there, and if I can find it, then obviously there's definitely one there and the idea is dead in the water, or I need to tweak it somehow. But getting a lawyer is the only surefire way to make sure. And you can do a check. It's usually, I've had quotes between $250 US to $350 US for that peace of mind that, yes, this idea is good to go. You're not going to be getting any nasty legal letters down the track.
Yeah, that's right.
I love all these questions. It's nice when you get an audience that's interactive.
It's nice it's just to have a conversation, guys. So even if you're sharing your, you know, your experiences that, you know, that touch on these questions as well. It's nice to talk to people that are doing the same thing, because, you know, this can be a quite an isolating journey as well when you know, the people around you aren't doing something like this. Yeah,
for sure. It's always an interesting barbecue chat when someone says, "What do you do?" And you're, well,
easier to say you're accountant, Kim.
You know, sometimes I just do because it's easier than going, well, I create brands on Amazon. Although it's a much more interesting topic.
But yeah, no, that's right. People are definitely interested, and they don't. Obviously, everyone is aware that online shopping, I buy things online, but they don't really think about it. What about the people who are selling it? There are millions of people selling online, but no one actually thinks about who they are.
100%. Yeah. Thanks, Beck.
Thank you.
Yeah, I hope everything's going well. And if there's any other questions, just send them through. Otherwise, I might jump off. But it's been fun to. Oh, thanks, Tim. Side topic. What? Yes, because that's the second. Tim's just raised a really good point. When you are in those social settings and you say to someone, "I'm an Amazon seller," the next question that follows is, "What do you sell?" And obviously, that's a really tightly held topic in this world, and people don't realize that. I usually give them the category. So I might say something like, I sell in homewares, or I sell in gardenware, whatever it might be. And usually that's enough for people to go, I've heard about Amazon. And, they start then talking about their experiences. I've just signed up to Amazon Prime and, you know, I always find those people super interesting to talk to. I'll be like, well, what's the last thing you brought? Why did you buy it? Have you had any really good experiences? What, you know, I learn from that. It's a great thing to get involved with. Oh, we've got lots of comments coming through now.
Do you think use an NDA or patent before contacting Chinese suppliers?
Yeah, patents take a very long time to put through. So I usually don't because I am keen and in like just got fire to get that product online. So I usually don't. I haven't had the situation where anybody, as supplier or manufacturers, tried to copy or do anything with my idea. But it's probably a wise decision to do that NDA. Yeah, I'm not sure what your experience is with that, Veronica.
Yeah, actually, one of our products, we did find the product itself advertised that it did have a patent in the US, and we weren't quite sure if it was a scare tactic. We did find out that it is actually illegal to have that as a scare tactic in certain places. So don't write misleading information on your products. But we very quickly found that this was in fact legit because we were able to find it ourselves. So we went in a different direction. We did talk to a few lawyers just in terms of, you know, how could we maybe get around it, if you like, if this was a particular design. But then that was more in terms of, obviously, if we really wanted to do that product, we needed to, you know, hire a lawyer. They needed to thoroughly investigate what exactly they were claiming that was theirs. And even that obviously takes time, it takes money. Two things in Amazon that, you know, you need to be very careful of what you do with that. And then we decided to, you know, take a different avenue. You know, why do we want to spend all this time and energy exploring something that maybe, you know, didn't really work out? Or if it did, you know, someone could be, you know, coming to us in the future and be like, you know, this is very similar, you know, we have an issue here.
Yeah, and just to clarify, NDA means non-disclosure agreement. So basically, they can't speak to anyone else about your product, which is obviously a very nice thing to have.
No, I definitely have that, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Kwama, sorry if I've pronounced your name wrong. Do you mind explaining your question a little bit more? So you're talking about ZonGuru listing products indexing to Amazon. So with the ZonGuru listing optimization tool, what it does is it helps you craft your copy, make sure all your keywords are in the right places. Once that listing is pushed across to Amazon, Amazon's algorithm will get to work and start working out what keywords to rank you for. You know, that algorithm is very closely held to Amazon. They don't tell anybody what exactly goes into that. But obviously, the more times a buyer is there searching for a keyword and then clicks on your product, the higher you'll start ranking for that keyword. You know, more reviews and high ratings you get, again, that goes towards it. It's this big puzzle that nobody really knows the exact pieces of, but keywords is definitely king, and especially where you put them. So things like your title ranks higher than your bullets and things like that. So hopefully that gives a little bit of guidance there. You're very welcome, Michael. Any other questions? We've almost gone for the full hour. I think this is a record.
Good discussion, fun discussion. Yeah,
you're welcome. Well, I might. Tim, another.
After finding a different product, how do you determine whether it will be commercially viable, that customers are willing to pay the price required? Well, that all comes into, you know, your research. So, you know, you need to see, okay, what are your competitors charging for their product? Is there demand for that product? If there's demand, they're obviously buying it for those costs. And, you know, there are many niches where there's obviously, you know, your lowest price, and then there's the high ticket items that are in the same category, but there is a point of differentiation, and that is the price. And that's purely through your product research to see, okay, this product is the highest in your category. Are people buying it? And then you have to make a call basically, and then seeing that working out what your profit margins would be at different pricing points as well. So you have maybe room to edit that if you put it up at a price people aren't buying, okay, if I put it down here, are you still achieving a healthy profit margin, or you only relying on one price point in order for your business to be a success?
Yeah, I think there's a few components. So you've got the data, rely on the data, but you also need to create a really high quality product that you believe in as well. So when you marry those two pieces together, you've got more confidence that people are going to be clicking and buying your product. There is absolutely no guarantees in anything in life. But with Amazon, if you've got those two parts right, it is hard to go wrong, and you can always test the market. You don't need to be sending whole container loads. You might just send 500 units, whatever you feel comfortable with, going, you know what, I'm going to try this out and then I'm going to scale. You don't need to go in, 100% from the outset. And Joanna, you'll get an email of this replay about 5 hours from now, and then we usually put it on YouTube a couple of days later just for our ZonGuru subscribers. So definitely we'll be coming out to you shortly. And I've got a list of people who asked for the slides too. So if you need those, just let me know.
You guys, sorry, Kim, the slides are one thing, but I didn't put any of the examples. Would you like me to put the links to the examples that I put in there as well, guys?
I think on the replay it will be enough. Everybody will be able to see, from cool. there, and save yourself some work on a Saturday.
Yeah, this is not. That's all right. Okay, so.
Oh, you're welcome, guys.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's the community, it's the ZonGuru community that really makes these sessions great. When we get in there, we share examples, we ask questions. It really helps everybody. Those questions that you ask, there's probably, 5 other people in the room going, oh, I really wanted to know that. So.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. Well, let's end it there.
Yeah.
Because I'm getting calls and things. And I hope everyone has a great weekend. Thank you so much, Veronica.
No, you're welcome. Thank you, guys. Sorry about the little glitch earlier on, but otherwise, have a fantastic day, and we'll be back next week with another training.